Now, in my video archive, I have a lot of video that I think it qualifies as priceless because years go by and people don't have the models anymore, or they pass away or drop out for health reasons, or they age out or go on sabbatical for whatever reason. But you want to look back at these times that I think they are priceless. Now, this is Keith Trostle's Martin Baker. He won the Nats with this model, and I recorded the flight. And I thought at the time, well, that's nice. You know, it isn't going to be, anything special. It was a scale model flight, but it turned out to be priceless for another reason. And when I shot it, I had no idea how priceless it was going to be. I still have it in the archive. Now, Keith was generous enough in the course of looking at this model up close and personal in his motel room by explaining to me how the sliding canopy worked. And I looked at it. He was gracious enough to share that technology. And I was very, very excited that I could do that on a future model. And believe me, it was not as easy as it looks. Keith, I'm still impressed. As I look back at this footage, I believe this was the national winning flight. I could be wrong, but it is something that to me is, in every way that you can measure it, is priceless.
Nice. Yeah, he just touched and went too. Ooh, a little hard.
Now, another great memory I have was of the 94 Nats in Lubbock, Texas. I went down to Texas with the late Jimmy Damarel. We had a great time, and all the trips to Texas were always fun. And I'm not sure who is flying this model. I think it's Bob Whiteley, but I recorded one of the flights of a model that had a Miss Ashley paint job. And this is the second of the Miss Ashleys I built. And I was just wondering at the time when I look back at this, I wonder if I copied that paint job or somebody else copied mine, or maybe we both copied Miss Ashley. But the wind was blowing. Now, I remember watching this flight and the wind was blowing again. It's just the reason I'm showing this as I am, you see the way that paint job presents in a stunt pattern with the white tail. I don't know, I kind of like that. I was drawn to it, the white whole top of the fuselage. This model has dihedral, and again, I think it's Bob Whiteley, but I'm not sure. But it's Lubbock, Texas, 1994. And I remember thinking, wow, Miss Ashley, that's a very good rendition of Miss Ashley there. But I was drawn to that paint job. Now, there's no special reason why. I look at all the models everywhere I go, and I look at other things, trailer trucks and different things that I think that would make for an interesting paint job. I've made an archive of pictures on my computer over the years of paint jobs I thought were really special and worth recording. And for some reason, don't ask me why, I thought this one was one of them. A funny Lubbock memory, we had driven straight through, switched drivers, pulled into Lubbock, found the street we were on, and went to the hotel and looked around. Everything looked nice. It was late at night. And we looked, as we were registering, we looked up at the TV screen and we heard the guy on the TV screen said, there's been a shooting on Q Street. And so, oh, interesting, there's a shooting on Q Street. And we finished signing in, and I thought, Q Street, we better avoid that like the plague, Jim. Maybe there's a bad section of town here. And the guy looked at us and said, sirs, where are you from, New York City? Yes. Well, you're on Q Street right now. Don't let it worry you. We have shootings here all the time. I will never forget that. I mean, Jim didn't either. Well, in 1994 too, I was in the peak of my interest in Reno Air Racing. Reno Air Racers. Miss Ashley I made too, Tsunami. The Red Baron. Oh my God. I had all the Skyfire videos, and every time I'd see anything that looked like a Reno Air Racer paint job, and boy, over the years, by the way, they have all evolved. Now, one of the tricks you can do if you're looking for a new paint job on a plane, go to YouTube and look up the latest Reno Air Races. They're all out on YouTube, and the paint jobs, they're spectacular. There's some, every one that you can imagine is out there, and there's some are even, I can't even imagine I could design something from scratch even better. A great source for finding your next paint job. Now, not only and again, this one caught my eye, and that is a very close rendition of Miss Ashley. But again, there are so many out on YouTube, and I just happened to be the other night looking at the Reno Air Races. The new ones, every one of them is spectacular. Every one.
Yeah, he was taking them yesterday. Neat. Nice landing. Look at his tail wheel up. All right. Beautiful. Yeah, I saw him in Frank McMillan's room last night. Can you turn this over so we can see the bottom?
Well, yeah.
I know it's a take apart.
Yeah, it's big. I'll hold you, Rusty, so you don't fly away when you pick it up.
Did you like your trip to New York? Tell me the truth.
Yes.
How did they treat you in New York?
I'd like to belong to the Garden State Circle Burners, but I don't want to live in New Jersey.
Send us your money and you're a member.
Now, from the archives, and I can remember this like it was yesterday, we're at VSC. Normally at a circle burner meet or local meet, you'd have one ignition engine, maybe two, and maybe in the rarest of rare cases, you'd have three. There were so many ignition engines out there, my head was spinning. Now, the reason was I was flying old-time stunt all the time in this era, and that's why I built the big job. And I can't even explain what the attraction to me was to have an ignition engine. But every time I'd see either Doug Benedetti or somebody fire up, oh, Danny Bandrock was good with them too, fire up one of the ignition engines, I'd be all mesmerized and I wanted to try it. And I never did get to try it. I bought an old-time stunt. I don't remember what it was, an ignition engine now. I don't remember. I think I gave it to somebody, probably because I was frustrated and didn't want to admit defeat. So it's like surrendering, but you give somebody else the white flag. But there were so many. VSC just blew my mind. How many people were there? How many nice models? I got to rub elbows with a lot of people I hadn't seen in many, many years, including Lou Walgast. He used to live up our way, very, very active. And when I look back at this, anytime I go to the archives and start digging out pictures and old videos, I think, wow, everyone's got a special memory attached. And that big job that I built, that big job, the year that I built it, anticipating to go to VSC, I used to go to bed at night thinking about how I'm going to paint it and how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do that, make it a take-apart plane, get the box. And luckily Rich Jacobone came to the rescue with that big aluminum box I used. But so many just wonderful memories of the one time I went to VSC. But whatever it is, maybe it's the sound, maybe it's the smell, maybe there's something about it. I always had an attraction to the ignition engines. I don't know why. That's part of the charm, I guess, is when you have something that's very challenging and you can't do it easily or conveniently, and you look to other people and they seem to have no trouble doing it at all. I don't know. It's humbling at best. But again, at VSC, that was one of the attractions. I got to see a lot of ignition engines, and a lot of them really ran well. A lot of them really blew me away with how good they ran. I was very, very impressed.
right, Charlie, make me famous.
How did it go over there, Wendy?
Terrible.
Terrible.
It needs about 10 trim flights. It's okay, I got to fly at VSC. And I got it on video for people that don't believe me. All right, now you and Keith can go duke it out.
Well, may not be between Keith and me.
Now that's not the right attitude, Charlie. What if our Marines had that attitude at Guadalcanal?
Well,
Charlie Reeves was instrumental in me building my big job and making the trip out to VSC, where I got to fly alongside of him, of course. There were so many things out in VSC to remember. I remember just shooting a lot of video. My big job really could have used some trim flights along the way. It was a brand new plane, and I really didn't get the chance to trim it out like I would have liked to. But again, meeting Charlie made the whole trip worthwhile, and hanging out with him and checking his model out and comparing them and seeing whose was this and whose was that. And that's the camaraderie. And Frank McMillan had built one too. And so when we got to the Nationals, that was an exceptional thing. We had, maybe I'm wrong, we had 3 big jobs at the Nats in 1 year, and I don't remember what year it was, and Frank McMillan won. Again, congratulations, Frank. But meeting Charlie at VSC, something I'll never forget.
Jim Road, Circle 3, Cobra, Jim Road.
So that's just a little slice of the things I have in my video archives. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. I hope if you missed some of this in real life, that this allows you to actually be there. And if you were there, you probably recognize your model in the background or whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's great memories no matter whether you were there or not. Or if you're new to the sport and you just want to see the history of the sport. It's all wonderful. I'm glad I have the archives. I hope you have enjoyed watching the video as much as I do, recalling these great memories and sharing them on YouTube. And guys, one and all, thanks so much for watching.